G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of FinChats. My name is Hugh,
My name is Hoy.
and today we have an interesting developments with a banking scandal in the UK. So we have NatWest CEO Alison Rose um, being kicked out of her position following a closure of Nigel Farage's bank account. So just to give a bit of context for our viewers, Nigel Farage is an ex-UK Independent Party leader and has been one of the biggest proponents of the Brexit leaving the EU. But Hoy, I just wanted to get your rundown really on what's happened here. Why has NatWest or Coutts, we'll get into that a bit deeper, why has this bank account been closed? Who is Nigel Farage?
Yeah, this is an interesting development, and it does have implications for the UK banking sector, and we'll get on to that. But for the time being, Nigel Farage was a UK politician, a former leader of the UK Independence Party, UKIP, who advocated that the UK leave the Eurozone, so, Brexit, as they called it. Now, some people have views that, Brexit is a disaster. Some people are still proponents of it. We won't get into that. But Mr. Farage is known for his controversial views about a lot of things, and he has been labeled as xenophobic and racist by a number of people. Now, what has happened is that Nigel Farage has um, recently came out on social media and said, "Look, my bank account has been closed," and that's due to his political views, he alleged. And what happened was that the BBC, the news organization in the UK, has said, "No, no, no." It was what they reported was that his account was closed because he fell below the minimum balance requirements of his bank, Coutts. Now, what Coutts generally on their websites has said is that their clients have to have £1 million in the bank, which is roughly about 1.3 million US dollars, or £3 million in investments or borrowing. So uh, the official explanation is that he fell below that, and therefore they had to exit his account. Now, the scandal, quote unquote, is that Mr. Farage later found out that it wasn't solely due to that; it was also due to his political views, and that's when the scandal broke out. That the CEO of Coutts and the parent company NatWest had intervened and put into the consideration when exiting his bank account that his political views weren't in line with the bank that he was banking with. So therefore, he must have they must exit his account with the bank. Now, the further scandal is that the CEO of NatWest, Alison Rose herself, apparently breached privacy and confidential rules by sharing that information with the BBC. And that's when Farage called for heads to roll, so to speak. And that's exactly what happened. You've got the Coutts CEO resigned. You've got the NatWest bank, which is the parent of Coutts, the CEO of that bank resigned. And now there's also pressure for the chair of the board of NatWest to also resign.
So you mentioned a few people resigning from this. There must be some, wider implications for bank account closures that would be in place. If you could, run us through what some of those would be.
Yeah, so what we want to focus on is the implications for the UK banking sector. So, as a result of this, what the UK government is doing is trying to reform how bank accounts are actually closed, right? So, some voices in the UK, in the UK Parliament, is saying, well, the bank accounts should be treated as a utility, as how you would treat it for, water, electricity, gas, etc. Regardless of what your political views are, everyone should have access to water, electricity, gas, etc. So they're pointing out that bank accounts should be in the same category, and they have already um, got some concessions from the UK banks about, increasing the notification period that banks give customers when they close their accounts. So they're going to increase it from 30 days period to a 90-day period, and then they're going to have um, more discussions about what more can we do to notify customers when their bank account is about to be closed. And one other thing that they're going to do is just increase the transparency, give customers reasons about why the bank account closed, and not just very vague statements about, dear Mr. Customer or dear Mrs. Customer, we don't like you, therefore your bank account will be closed.
And Hoy, why should we care about these sort of developments? Like, is it to give people around the world confidence that they can bank with any bank that they choose, regardless of their political views? Is it to shed light on some of the disparities of power within the broader political system, but also the media and the banking system? What are some main takeaways from this?
Yeah, so the point of the review by the UK Parliament into bank account closures is to give people confidence that their bank account is not just going to be arbitrarily stripped away from them without reason. Now, if the customer breaks the law, obviously they have reason to close it. But there are criticisms about how banks and other organizations close customers' account without explanation, without giving them enough time to find an alternative bank. So it's really to increase consumer confidence in how banks operate in this space. Now, talking about giving people confidence, the other side of the coin is that while all this development is good and well, there are some organizations out there saying, well, what about us? When banks closed our bank account, there wasn't any fuss. Now, specifically, I'm talking about advocates for Muslim organizations. There have been in the past accounts relating to Eastern countries, the Palestinian organization bank accounts that has been closed without any fuss, right? Without any call for a parliamentary review on bank account closure, etc. People just assume that because they're Muslim or they're from the Middle East, well, yeah, their bank account should be closed, right? There wasn't a fuss that we need to look into this for better transparency and better to build better confidence in the community. So then the question of these folks are that, well, what do we need to do to have a loud voice, as loud as Nigel Farage's voice, to bring attention to these issues? Because they've been banging on about this for at the time when their bank account has been closed, but nothing was done about it. The question is, does everyone have to be a powerful white person with political connections in order to do it? And obviously, the answer should be no. But that's not how some of the population in the UK are feeling. So it's a really interesting point, and it'll be good to get our viewers' view on that. So leave a comment if you have thoughts on that as well.
Well, thanks very much, everyone. That was our take on the sort of Nigel Farage banking scandal and what that means from a moral and ethical point of view. But if you like this sort of video, then do make sure to like this video and subscribe as well. Leave a comment and click the bell icon for further notifications from this channel. But thank you very much.